Have you seen like videos of like J.R. Smith playing with like pickup basketball at Lifetime?
Oh no, the only thing I've seen about J.R. Smith is the thing with LeBron.
Yeah. It's insane. No, like when you watch him play like those pickup games, you're like, this dude I think might be like better than Michael Jordan. Like that's what he looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, even in general, when he plays actual games, he's a solid hooper. He's just
a
little.
Pickup games, he's better than Michael Jordan.
I mean, honestly, like if that's all you saw, you'd be like, this dude's the GOAT, you know?
Yeah, like you just wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah, like I think honestly, it's like I think once you get to that level, everything is just super like incremental, you know? Like what makes you better is super incremental. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Nuanced Nonsense. This is your co-host Alex.
And I'm your other co-host Ben, and I brought on my friend Athul, and he's someone I met in high school through another friend of ours who trained us in various arts, mostly working out.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell already.
That's why he's in the center.
Yeah, we're trying to show him off. And he also is...
this is the prop of the episode. Do you want to go more into that?
He's lending us a camera with a mic. So a problem we never really told the viewers is that like, because there's a distance, sort of like a gap between like us speaking and then us actually speaking at the video, what the end result is that like our audio is shorter than our video. And so we have to lengthen the audio in order to sync it up correctly. But like lengthening it doesn't correctly sync it up because you're just slowing everything down, right? Mm-hmm.
So like the middle would be pretty out of sync.
Yeah.
So we were hoping that if we attach this mic to the camera, we don't have to deal with this problem anymore.
Yeah.
And editing would be a lot easier. But we don't have a micro USB converter, so this will come another time. But this is a testament to our hopes and dreams.
It's the light at the end of the tunnel.
Basically.
Yeah.
We're stepping up our production value. See, now, first we got the setup changed. Now it's like facing us more directly instead of like off to like some odd angle.
Yeah, and the quality's better.
Yeah.
But now we have a next step to go towards.
And then another step is we're trying to get a backdrop. Right now it's just
then the sponsors are going to start rolling in.
And then we can quit our jobs.
Wait, dude. I want to be sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
The two like leaders in sponsorship for videos, Squarespace and SeatGeek.
Oh no, NordVPN, bro.
What? I've never seen
casually explain.
Wait, have you never seen NordVPN?
No, I have not. I've seen some.
It's like freaking McAfee, but like a bunch of YouTubers promote it. Oh, I also see a lot of Raycon, like headphones.
Is that the in-ear?
Yeah,
the buds? Oh yeah.
I'll say I've never gotten any of these.
Wait, what do you see? I also see the ones where it's like, what is the one where you like go learn stuff? Like they give you lessons on like random things.
Skillshare.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, no, that one's something that shows up everywhere.
Yeah.
Actually, that one's probably after Squarespace, probably one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, I feel like that one's super prevalent.
Just because it's not in any one like type of video; it's in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you watch Michael Reeves? He's
No.
a guy that like does code and makes robots.
I haven't, but I'll check him out maybe.
I see him promote like a coding boot camp sort of thing all the time.
That's relevant.
Yeah.
This might not be true, but I hear a lot of people who, especially in CS, like always shit on like coding boot camps.
Is this true?
I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't think a boot camp will give you. I'm a CS major, but I don't think a boot camp will give you like the whole experience. It's like is that one angle? Like, do you want to be a web developer or do you want to do data science? I do think a lot of people put too much hope into boot camps. They're like, oh, if I get this boot camp, I'll definitely get a job. When it's like, I don't think things are like that simple, you know?
Oh, so it doesn't pan out very well.
I mean, I think people treat it as like 100% chance, you know, like a miracle cure or something for their unemployment.
Yeah, I guess the intention is it's supposed to be like an introduction into like the field.
The other day, like my friend, he was talking about how his girlfriend wants to go into software engineering. She's gonna move with him to Seattle because he's gonna work at Amazon, and she's gonna take a boot camp. And she dropped out of pre-dent. And then after like he was saying that, me and some other guy were just like, oh yeah, that's very cool. And then like he walked away, we're just like, all these people trying to steal our jobs and like get into the industry. It's not that easy. Yeah.
But do you think the boot camps like work in the specific, like for example, like you said, data science, right? Does the data science boot camp actually teach you like relevant like stuff to actually get you in the field, or is it just like an intro class?
Oh, I'm sure they probably teach you relevant stuff. It's like very intense for like 10 weeks. It's basically just like you didn't do this in college, but you don't have much time, but you want to get into the industry ASAP.
Oh, so it can.
It can.
Oh,
It's pretty expensive, but
I feel like the thing with data science especially is like less than like the actual coding aspect of it. Like you need a pretty strong math foundation.
yeah, it's very stats heavy. It's
Yeah.
very stats heavy.
Like
You also wait, sorry, what are you saying?
I was like, I mean, unlike developing, it's like a lot of it is just the math. Like you could just put in some random, like you could just use a couple models, but like you'd actually need to know like the significance behind it. I feel like from like a statistical standpoint, a lot of people aren't well trained.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess if you're trying to go into like, I feel like a lot of the data science jobs are like data entry type stuff. They were very like mundane type tasks.
Oh yeah.
Like
the
cleaning data or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very like being a data analyst or data scientist can be a lot of things. It could mean like you're just cleaning some Excel spreadsheet, or it could mean you're working with like pandas or something. So it really depends on the company.
Yeah, a lot of times you're like a data technician more than a data scientist.
Is this just like a fancy way of putting data input?
I guess.
I mean, data science has been sometimes people like data science is a glorified term for stats, like what people do in data science or machine learning, like that's been around for a while. It's just like they just called it, machine learning, and I was like, oh, that's so cool, and like it's a buzzword now.
Neural networks, artificial intelligence. This thing thrown around a lot.
But that one, it's a lab in Boston. They make those robots. That shit's wild.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's like
in Boston.
It's like the YouTube channel is like called Boston. Is it Dynamics?
Oh, Boston Dynamics.
Is it just like a company?
Yeah, it's a company, right? I remember applying to them.
Like, have you seen that video? It's like really weird. It's like they made this 4-legged robot that like tries to act like resist your movements. And so like it was.
Oh wait, when you try to like knock it down.
Yeah, and it gets back up, and it resists you like an animal.
Was that not in the MIT lab?
I thought.
I mean, I didn't watch Boston Dynamics. I applied to Boston Dynamics. They rejected me though. I remember because it was in LA or something. And I was
bringing up some trauma, man.
Yeah.
Oh well, I didn't know. I just saw that video. Like my friend showed it to me, and I was like, "This is fucking wild. That thing is acting like an animal. This is getting."
It was honestly kind of creepy.
It's too close to home. It's like Uncanny Valley stuff.
Yeah, because it started jumping over stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was freaky.
They also made the one where it like runs like a person, and it could like jump over stuff. Like they made like hurdles for it, and it would jump over the hurdles.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
It's just fucking wild.
No, it's something that you'd see in your nightmares.
Yeah, because it looks it looks very mechanical.
Yeah, it's like a lot more fluid than you expect, but like it's creepy.
Yeah. Like it's just something unsettling. Like, oh, this thing is clearly not like a biological being, but it's moving naturally.
Think about it like a moving rectangle, right? You can tell it's obviously animals don't look like a rectangle, but like it's acting like one.
Like there's this clip where they're like trying to beat the shit out of it.
I think
they're trying to knock it down. And like they start like bringing stuff and like smashing it.
Yeah.
It was honestly, I don't know. I felt a little bad for it, but I realized it's not.
You're like, it's not a living being, so it's okay.
But I mean, it moves. Like
very realistically.
It's like iRobot or something.
Wait, iRobot is like those were like actually like could be humans, right? They were just like
they were though. I mean, the premise was that it was borderline sentient.
Yeah. Like they could be humans if they just like had fake skin.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, no. I mean, They did a lot of things that... I mean, they weren't humans because they didn't quite have emotions. This is the one with Will Smith.
Yeah.
And then there was that one robot that, like...
He became buddy with, right?
Yeah. And he, like, hated the robots at first. Honestly, I haven't seen that movie. It's such an old movie.
I saw it when I was, like, a kid, so all the details I remember, like, vague, like... recollections of like the past.
I remember being scared of iRobot for some reason. It's not a scary movie though. I don't know why I was scared.
I feel like now, I mean, when I look at that robot thing that was at MIT, like, a little scary.
It was telling the future. But yeah, I guess speaking of boot camps and universities, what's something I guess you've been proud of, or like what are like some highs and lows of college you've experienced so far?
Highs and lows. Man. Okay, highs. Let's see. One thing I feel Austin's a little different from everywhere else in Texas is I feel like there's a lot of stuff to do outdoors.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so like the first year kind of, I used to go out a lot. Like I went, like pretty much everyone in the Greenbelt. I went to Lake Travis, cliff jumping and stuff. Went all around downtown. And the thing is, like, there is a lot of stuff to do, but it's still not to the same extent as like somewhere in California or something like that. So I burned through everything. So like it was a high for like
the exploratory period was the high.
Yeah, and then after that we're like, man, we've done everything. Well, I guess we didn't do everything, but like
you've done most things.
So yeah. So like you know that awe and like being able to discover a lot of stuff is like gone. Especially because Austin's a pretty small city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like you can walk everywhere in downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. In like less than an hour.
Pretty much, yeah. You can walk to the river from here. It looks like it'd be far, but man, it's actually pretty close.
Yeah.
I actually used to tutor a kid who was on the other side of the river. And I would bike there in like
10 minutes?
15 minutes-ish. It was
It's not bad.
Like 20 minutes. It's honestly faster than going by car just because you have to go through all the stop signs and everything and the foot traffic. But biking, it's a pretty good way to get around.
Do you think Austin's a very biker-friendly city?
Honestly, yeah. I think West Campus and like campus is honestly worse to bike in than actual downtown.
Oh, for sure.
Because they have bike lanes and roads are better. Yeah.
Dude, literally today, as I was walking back, there was someone driving in the bike lane. I'm just like, bruh.
On Rio?
On Rio.
It's not that wide.
It's wide enough.
Like a car?
A car. Like a
I've
four-door.
seen it. Yeah. I've definitely seen cars that like they just force their way into the bike lane and because
they go the opposite direction.
But they have on Rio, they have those little floppy thingies.
The poles?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're floppy, so you just sort of go over.
You kind of just push.
But the dude was like, well, did he not realize that there was like...
No, he knew. Like, everyone was going the opposite direction as him. Like, I'm sure
he was going the other way.
Yeah, because like Rio's a one-way street.
Yeah.
And so if you go in the bike lane, you're going the opposite direction. I don't know why you would go in the bike lane and go the same direction.
Yeah. He probably just had to go like one block down. It's like, I don't want to go all the way around.
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Honestly, I don't blame him.
There's too many one-ways in Austin. It gets really annoying.
One street that I don't even... Okay, so... 22nd and a half? Is that road a one-way? No, right?
22nd and a half? Between which parts?
From Rio down to where, like, that area is... That little alleyway thingy.
That's a one-way, I think.
Is it?
I believe
I've seen cars go both ways all the time.
It doesn't look wide enough.
Oh wait, it might actually be a two-way. Wait, I think I was thinking of a different street.
I don't know though, because I was biking down and there was cars on both lanes.
Is this the one that like? Is this the one that like borders Quarters Nuanced?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's two-way because cars park on both sides, right?
But like, I've seen cars go both. It's a strange road. Like I thought it was one way.
Oh, this is where a UT Fall is, right?
No, this is where Quarters Nuanced is. Like between Quarters Nuanced and Skyloft.
Maybe it's only a one way at one point, and maybe like at one point it's two.
Oh,
I don't know.
That okay.
It's a strange road.
So that like one is literally crossing Nuanced.
Yeah, it goes through Nuanced. Yeah.
Mm.
And then it goes to that part where there's like that little thingy.
Yeah.
And then there's like the little vendors there.
Mm-hmm.
That area.
It's an odd street.
I know it used to be one way.
I swear at one point I thought it was
one way.
But cars travel both ways like regularly.
Yeah.
It's not like it's just
out.
But at some point I was biking down.
I mean, yeah.
And there was two cars coming at me and I was like, what? The thing is, I didn't realize that I was there for a second, so I had to swerve out into the sidewalk.
It could have been the end of a duel.
Yeah, it could have been the end.
Yeah, I think it's two-way now because they finished construction, so it's wider.
Maybe.
Yeah, because remember before, like most of my time in college, it's like it was blocked off, so you had to if you went that direction, you had to U-turn back.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I swear at one point I thought it was one way.
It might have been.
I'm pretty sure it was. They probably just changed it.
Like roads now are like changed, like the.
Because before it used to go like facing 24th, right, like in that direction. But I've definitely gone like down to the like past 23rd to 22nd side to pick people up at Inspire to that route. So I'm pretty sure, it is two-way now.
Yeah.
Like the 23rd Street, that's near our apartment, is like that used to be two-way going all the way down, but construction blocked it off completely. So now it's like it's two.
It's not even anywhere.
One of them is a one-way, and then the other is two ways because there's through traffic.
Well, right now it's a no-way.
Yeah, no, right now it's a no-way.
Walk around.
Yeah. But if you enter from 24th, or if you enter from the San Gabriel side, it's a one-way. Yeah. Yeah. But if you try to enter from the Rio side, it's a no way. Yeah.
Also, how are there so many new apartment buildings being constructed?
Dude, yeah. I don't know.
Like, there's not more students.
I don't think it's the move, because like...
No, because like, it's not that there are more students, it's just there was always too little housing, is what I thought. Like, people told me there was always like a shortage of housing, and...
Where do they live? Like, just further out?
Yeah, further out. And so it's like constructing more in West Campus allows more students to live near campus.
So I guess there's going to be less North Campus people if there's...
I don't know. Like they wouldn't construct this if there's no demand, you know?
I guess. And the thing is, like, you would think that there's more places, prices would
go
down,
but they're going up.
They keep going up.
Because these are all like luxury apartments.
Yeah. Like any new apartment will charge luxury prices simply because it's new.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like no apartment anywhere has gone down in prices. Like it's always going up.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the general Austin demand.
Yeah, because like everywhere in Guad is going up. That's why a lot of places are leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even my dad was like, he's like, I don't really like living in Austin because it's so much more expensive than Dallas, which is kind of crazy because Dallas is like a much more established city, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a bigger city. Like there's a lot more places. But Austin's like smaller, but...
Yeah. Also, eventually you're just going to see all the people that move here from California are just going to bump up the prices.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. People...
I mean, it's already
happening.
Back where we came from, like Plano, like prices are already going up because all those Toyota people came in.
Yeah.
And then all those like headquarters are coming in.
Yeah.
And so it just keeps driving it up. Like I remember my parents were telling me the value of our house, and it's like
it's pretty high now.
Sharp increase.
Yeah. Also, the strange thing is, if you look at it from like an industry standpoint, like Houston is known for like oil and gas, right? That's like every city has their own resources that they're built around. Like that's usually how cities in general are built.
Yeah, I've played surf.
And Dallas became a city because it was a major railroad stop, right? Because outside of that, there aren't any like a lot of resources, I guess, in that area. I guess there's oil and gas at one point, but I mean, it's mainly still Houston.
Yeah.
But Austin's like the one place that doesn't actually have any like industrial type, like a resource, I guess, right?
It's okay. We're becoming Silicon Hills now.
Yeah. No. What drives people to Austin is like the perception of a higher quality of life.
Yeah. And it's also like more liberal compared to the rest of Texas.
No, it's pretty much modeled exactly like the city in California.
Yeah.
Except in California, they do have resources that they choose not to use.
Yeah.
Like what?
Specifically oil and gas.
Oh, I did not know California had oil and gas.
Oh, they have plenty.
But they lack a lot of other resources like potable water.
Yeah. But I mean, they choose not to use the ones they even have. And I think
they enjoy spending money.
Yeah, I think it has to do with they don't want to inhibit the beauty of, or I guess take away the beauty of the landscape or something. I don't know.
But
I don't
then
get too political here, but
just a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they're inhibiting the beauty of other states.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they're driving up. Well, it's great for the oil and gas business in Texas because they're always exporting to them. Yeah. So it helps us.
Just so you know, he talks about oil and gas a ton because he's a chemie.
Yeah. Well, see, one of the few industries I can talk about, I guess.
What's your experience working in the industry as a chemie?
So I spent the past 6 months from June to December, actually 7 months, working at a process safety engineering firm. So I was working as an engineering consultant. So I worked with a lot of oil and gas and chemical companies like Phillips 66, ConocoPhillips, Valero, those types. So yeah, I got to see a lot of different oil and gas sectors, like midstream, upstream, downstream. If anyone's familiar with that, I mean, a general breakdown for anyone that doesn't know is upstream is going to be your like drilling, getting crude oil. Midstream is going to be anything that deals with transporting it, so working with pipelines, all that type of stuff. Either whether it's shipping to anywhere else or taking it to a downstream facility, which is basically manipulating crude oil to other usable products. So taking crude oil to, jet fuel or gasoline or ethane, which can go to a different facility and it'll become ethylene. So yeah, basically breaking that down into pretty much a lot of the things that we use, which is pretty much anything that's synthetic, which there's a lot of things that are used now because it's just easier to scale, because you can't, like, if you look at a lot of the carpeting in a lot of buildings here, it's going to be synthetic. It's like petroleum-based products, and it's not like you don't see people just going to sheep and getting wool for everything, right? There's only so many sheep we have, especially when you're trying to scale it to like an industrial size building everywhere.
It's also like not feasible to like even if you had like 1 million sheep, the amount of manual labor to like get all that wool off is just like too much.
Yeah, no, that's one thing that I guess I always knew, but I never really like grasped, is like how much we actually use oil and gas like based products. Like it's in literally everything, which I think makes it's probably, I feel like, the most, from a like necessity standpoint, it's like the one industry that we can't live without.
Like what are some examples of like common household items that
we
like
wouldn't think of?
I mean, like,
is plastic made from oil?
Yeah, any type of plastic is going to be like, it's a synthetic material.
Yeah,
and polyethylene. So you take ethane that's from crude oil, you make ethylene out of it, and you make different types of polymer chains of ethylene, so polyethylene. And that's going to be in a bunch of plastic products like PVC. It's going to be in like your household plastics, a lot of synthetic fibers.
So
clothes, like carpeting. A lot of that stuff is going to be from that. Honestly, there's probably very few products that don't in some way have an oil and gas derived like byproduct.
So like bio renewable, like
energy wise, like I think we're at least 80% fueled through oil and gas. And I mean, part of the reason is when you look at energy, so the biggest thing, so I guess something that people, if you're not really in the industry, or like you're not, I guess, technically informed in that area, I think a lot of people are like, why can't we just use solar? Why can't we just use like wind to power everything?
Is it because we don't have infrastructure, or is it like?
Well, there's two things. Like, one is like the cost to be able to implement solar panels and be able to get the type of energy we need to run as like a country. Like, you can't power a city just purely through solar. Theoretically, you can. But another thing is storing energy, right? That's the hardest thing. You don't have batteries that can store the amount of energy they need to run a city. And if you can't store that, you can't transport energy to the same level that you can, because like it's the main thing is going to be storage, right? So like, let's say, because the way oil and gas works is it's not stored through what is it? Like, how does a battery work? Like an anode, cathode.
Like it has its own like physical form,
right?
As opposed to like solar energy, it's
right. So energy. Like you have that's how like the potential energy is stored there. But like in oil and gas, it's stored physically within that, like through the bonds, the chemical bonds that are in there, right? Mm-hmm. So it comes in a battery form, and then you just burn it. You get the electricity or whatever that you need, and it powers literally everything. So from like a practical standpoint, it's like the best form of energy. And I think the downsides of it in terms of impact on like climate and everything, I mean that's just a heated topic. That's as like, I feel like, and this isn't like a scientific basis that I'm basing it on, I feel like man-made climate change definitely has to be real. I mean, there's got to be some sort of global footprint that
there has to be,
right? Like just the amount that we consume. But I feel like the research on the actual like impact that we have is very blurry, just based on who's going to be funding all this, And that's how all research works in general, because like people always are skewing data. But also I feel like there's got to be like some sort of, like there's no way the impact is to the same extent that people say, right? Because if it is, like,
you think it's like potentially overstated.
Yeah, like I mean, when people say like, oh, we're the globe like we won't be able to live because like we'll just have destroyed the earth in the next 50
years. Or
like
doomsday
years.
Clock or something.
Yeah, like 50 years. I'm like, 50 years.
It's pretty soon. It's pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, 50 years ago, that's what we said. 50 years.
Yeah.
And when people say like, oh, we're gonna run out of oil and gas in the next when we were, I guess, younger in like middle school, I think 2020 was a year. At one point, 2020 or 2025 or something.
I remember they just said like we only have 100 years left or something.
Yeah, they always change the number. Some people say 20, then they say 50, 100.
Yeah.
No, we definitely have an abundance of it, just because like
it's just
like
not.
Right now we have shale, then we're gonna go into offshore drilling, which isn't as like explored to the same extent. It's just not as.
So that's why we have a lot of it, because it's like a lot of it just sitting there.
Yeah. And the thing is, if it was 50 years, like, or like 20 to 50 years or whatever, like we might as well give up, because it's impossible for us to switch from relying on this much from oil and gas, not just for energy, just for like living in general with all the products that we use, to going to not using that
at all.
Right?
Because like even if you like cancel the energy part of it, all the products are still important.
Yeah.
So
like we are we live in a material world. You know,
in a material world.
Yeah.
Even if we did switch all energy over from like, let's say all of it is renewable energy, right?
Yeah.
How much percentage of like oil and gas would we still be using?
Yeah.
Probably still a lot, right?
I would assume a lot, just considering how much. I mean, energy would be a huge amount. I would say at least like half of it, just because like the world runs on oil and gas in terms of energy. But we would still have quite a large need for it, just from the synthetic materials side of it. And yeah, I mean, I think there would still be a large amount of it to where we'd still be complaining about it and how it's killing our planet.
What do you think about like nuclear energy?
Oh, my stance on that?
Yeah.
So I guess there's some organization, Green something or whatever, and they basically like classified it as not clean energy, which it actually is probably the most cleanest and most efficient form of energy. And the reason it's not clean energy is because of the severities that come with if something were to go wrong. Right? The stuff that happened in Japan where it becomes like a nuclear waste site or whatever, right? My stance is I think we should have way more nuclear energy, because that's, I think, the only way I can feasibly see us not having a dependency on oil and gas. Like, because the thing is, it ticks both of them, right? It takes one in terms of I mean, the main thing is you're the way you're storing energy, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to store it in a battery because it's stored physically within like what is it, an atom, right?
Yeah.
So that is your stored chemical potential energy, right? And if you're breaking that, you have a lot. That's how nuclear energy comes. And I think you could do that on a scale very efficiently. And I think if you look at it in terms of calculated risk, it's actually one of the safest ones, because the severity of if something goes wrong is high, but it's not
like
the chance of getting there is actually lower than like a lot of like plants that we have currently. So and the reason why I think the US would be able to execute this in certain parts at least is because the fact that Japan, I think they're the leaders in
nuclear energy.
Yeah, and I think they hit 15 to 20% of the energy from nuclear, and they're probably like the odds are stacked against them to be able to use nuclear energy. And the reason they went to nuclear energy is because they don't have resources like a lot of other larger countries, right? And given that they're an island, so the only way they can produce energy like in-house is nuclear.
Yeah.
But the odds are stacked against them because
geography.
Like it's like really
earthquakes.
Mountainous. Yeah.
And tsunamis, they're prone to a lot of those. And I mean, when things go wrong, like things go wrong, and that's just something that happens.
Like why Fukushima was so bad is because it was located on like the coast, and there was an earthquake and a tsunami.
And I think one of the reasons that it didn't work was like their backup generators went off too, or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but
like literally everything went wrong.
But it was an engineering flaw in the fact that it wasn't designed to be able to mitigate that risk, or something went wrong. But at the end of the day, there is an engineering like solution to be able to make something more safe, right? And I think if we don't get through those hurdles, as bad as it sounds, like you can't have no accidents occurring.
Yeah.
But I think if you're looking at it in terms of the long run, like the safest, most like sustainable and practical way of doing it, I think if we like are so scared of nuclear that we don't go to that, I think we're kind of just screwing ourselves over. And I mean, it's the same thing that happened when we had automobiles that were powered by gasoline. We're literally putting something that's explosive inside of our car.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and if you think about it that way, then you should be scared every time you're filling gas.
I had that exact conversation.
Because, like, you know, like, I don't know if it's like a general parent thing, but at least for like Asian parents, like Asian moms, they're always like, you need to turn off the car before you fill in the gas or it's going to explode, right?
Yeah.
And like one time I forgot to do that and my mom like freaked out. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. Like I didn't really think about it. And then one time like I was trying to like fix my tire pressure or something. So then we kind of talked about like, you know, like, oh, the car needs to be on for the battery. And we talked about like gas, like turning off your car when like the gas is on. He's like, oh, like honestly, like, you know, that's a myth, right? Because like, let's just think about it. This needs to be accessible by the common user. And like most people are going to forget to turn off their car at some point. So that means like, especially in like a gas station, like there's going to be so many accidents where people like it's just going to explode, you know.
And if you're at a gas station, it will like magnify the explosion like tenfold.
Yeah. And like those things are taken into account for. Of course, it's still better to turn off the car and put it in, just because, you know, sometimes maybe, you know, like the stars align in the wrong way. All those like things that are mitigated from happening just don't work for you, and then that's the one thing that's there. But yeah, I mean, another interesting thing is people like just forget how dangerous cars are in general, like in every facet. Like there are people that were talking about how pipelines are dangerous, right? Like when something happens, like, pipelines are probably the most like safe way to transport something because you don't have to take it through cars and trucks. Which, I mean, I don't think you even need to like go
like
and
pipelines
look at how,
isn't like subways or something, like
actual
like
pipelines,
underground
pipelines or on ground pipelines, like say there's some sort of spillage somewhere nearby, and like I mean, and the thing is, a lot of times pipelines are just mainly transporting crude, which isn't always the case, but like a majority of it is crude oil, and crude oil actually isn't that flammable. You need a lot of energy to actually get it to be flammable. Like gasoline is flammable because it's also volatile. Crude oil is like very dense, thick. Like it's just not going to catch on fire if you like accidentally drop a match on it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So if you drop a match on crude oil, nothing will happen?
It's not going to like explosion or type stuff. It's not explosive just because it's like
just because it's like oil or something.
It's like when you look at
similar to like tar.
When you look at when you look at what is it? Different types of fuel. You have like your lighter carbons and you have your heavier carbons. Crude has all of them together, right? So it's got a lot of larger chain carbons in there, and it's not easy to like just, I guess the activation energy to get it to like flammable state isn't as like low, right? You need a lot more energy to do that, which is why like you can't, which I guess you can't use diesel for your car if it's running with gasoline, right?
So like they like make sure like the pipe is like different, like it literally can't fit into your car. Yeah. And I guess in some places you can't. You actually can't. No, because I remember one time I was being dumb. Like I forgot. I just didn't look. So I just grabbed the diesel one without looking. And I was trying to fit my car. I was like, why doesn't this fit? And the guy behind me was like, dude, like that's diesel. Like you need the other one. I was like, I'm an idiot. And I just quickly filled up my gas and I drove away in shame.
Yeah. And in places I guess where they are the same, your car is just going to stall and you're going to have to get all of it out before you can use it.
To get all of it out, bro.
Yeah.
What does that look like? The process of getting
I'm not entirely sure. You would have to take it to a place that can do that, I guess.
You definitely have to get someone to tow it then.
But that's not as bad as getting gasoline in a diesel engine, because gasoline is explosive and you have a lot more energy in a diesel engine. You can have like explosions. It's a lot worse to get. Like if
diesel?
you put diesel in your car, like the
It's
worst
just
that's
annoying.
gonna happen is like it's gonna be like a hassle. If you put gasoline into a diesel engine, it's dangerous.
Wait, so for like diesel is corn based, right?
That's
it?
ethanol.
Oh, ethanol is corn based. What is
Ethanol.
what is diesel?
It's all still from crude oil.
Oh, okay. Is it like more environmentally friendly or like more like
Not
on the
really.
wave of like
It's-
renewable resources? Like why is it?
Why?
an option?
Okay, so a general breakdown would be you have jet fuels for planes, diesel is typically for larger vehicles and trucks, and you have gasoline for your regular cars. And the main difference is because they're higher carbon chains, they have more energy in them. Larger vehicles typically require the more energy dense substances. Like you don't want this much gasoline, you have to carry all that around, right?
Oh, I see.
And to be able to power a truck, you need more energy dense material, right?
Fair.
But you also need a certain type of engine to be able to combust that and get the energy from it, which you don't. So you wouldn't really want diesel in like a regular car if you don't need it.
Fair.
Which is why there's a project somewhere, a company that's trying to power a plane purely through natural gas, which is a cool feat. I think we probably have been able to do this for a while, but it's just not efficient because it's not as dense in terms of energy, right? You need to carry it. You need to have a lot more volume of it, and it just doesn't make sense. Like you'd rather have jet fuel, which is it's got a lot more carbons in it, a higher carbon chain. It's a heavy end hydrocarbon. You'd rather just use that for your plane just because it's just more efficient. But there's a lot of people that are like really pro natural gas. And they really want more fuel to be from natural gas. I'm not entirely sure why. I'm not sure if it's a cleaner process in terms of being able to use natural gas.
There's natural in the name.
Yeah, I guess maybe.
Natural
Maybe that's
equal
part of the reason.
clean.
Yeah.
That's actually something I really, really hate is when people are like, something is like natural, or
like
something's
food or
organic,
something. Like
therefore it's better. That's not the case. Like this is like a very controversial opinion, but like GMOs, like the world would not run without GMOs. Like you could not feasibly feed like a 7 billion population, and it's like not just a stagnant 7 billion. It's like it's a constantly increasing 7 billion population. Like the amount of food that we produce organically will never be able to like suffice.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if we did get rid of all GMOs, then you'd have people dying and then we could control our population.
Yeah.
Maybe
then it could feed everyone.
Maybe there's
It's a two-step
high
process.
IQ.
So basically, we're just lowering our carrying capacity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They got some high IQ moves right there.
That's a big brain.
Yeah.
Do you think we have a carrying capacity as a human population, or do you think we've
I
exploded
think,
past that?
like, did you know, like,
we have unlimited carrying capacity. We just take it away from other things.
yeah, like the thing is, did you know, like, we've stopped our own evolution through like medicine. Modern medicine
Yeah,
has
I
stopped
believe
our own
that.
evolution
Like,
because there's no longer survival of the fittest. Everyone lives.
Yeah.
Where they try to preserve every life, which is like,
yeah, the
you
more
know,
medicine progresses, the less like natural selection even matters.
Yeah. Because then everyone will live. And like at a certain point, like medicine will advance to the point where it's like you cut out evolution entirely, right? Because you will be able to gene edit. But like that's like a super far away.
That
like,
honestly is something that should be scary.
it is really
Gene
scary.
editing, yeah.
Like it's a powerful tool that can be easily misused.
Yeah.
That just sounds like eugenics, basically.
It could
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, all the gene splicing stuff. Like,
But like currently the reason why we aren't able to use this because the process involves viruses. Because like we have like have you ever heard of CRISPR?
yeah.
Cas9 CRISPR?
We've only been able to do it on like we haven't been able to do it with human.
We have, but it's just like really risky. Because like the thing is, like the Cas9 CRISPR edits the gene, right?
Yeah.
But you need to be able to put the gene in a person.
Yeah.
Like you can't put the bacteria in the human because then the human body will kill the bacteria.
So that's why
Yeah.
it needs to be done through a virus.
Yeah, so you basically the process is that like you edit the gene outside and then you put the gene in a virus. And then the virus like will overwrite the gene in your body. But like that's super dangerous because viruses you can't control them once they're inside. So sometimes it just like might overwrite everything, like not just the specific portion that you want. And that's why it's really, really dangerous.
Has there been any colossal mishaps with gene editing? Like the dude comes up with like a third eye or something?
No. Like that's another thing is like mutations are not like how they're not like X-Men mutations. Like mutations work is like just like things that like aren't normally on the surface like get brought out. It's called like your genetic toolbox.
Yeah.
You can't just grow another leg.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen is maybe like your leg will be shorter. Like you don't just get things that don't already exist in your genetic toolbox.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
There was something where I saw where this guy like grew back his thumb through some stem cell stuff.
Oh, I heard about that. That shit's wild.
But that's
honestly,
different from gene editing, right?
That's different.
It is different, but
because stem cells are like the most like basic form of the cell, but it's also like it can go into any type of cell. So that's why the thumb was able to be remade, because like they have cells that can turn into muscle cells and nerve cells and stuff like that. And the reason why it's super controversial is because most of the time stem cells only exist as like an embryo form. It's really hard to find them in another form. And so in order to get research on that, you need to find embryos.
Oh, so that's kind of like why abortion's a controversy.
Yeah.
It's like
that's really controversial.
It's like, what is life exactly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's almost like you have the power, like of the gods, basically. Like, you can literally manipulate life.
It's really wild.
Yeah.
Honestly, I guess I feel like the most interesting field is biology. Like,
because
there's just so much we don't know, and I think in terms of like how much we don't know, I feel like it's the field that we actually know the least amount of, and it's also the ones that like there's always something crazy going on, like some like comic book type stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like out of this world type stuff.
It's just the thing is like the processes aren't like efficient. Like, have you ever heard about like the reason why we can't clone stuff?
What?
No.
Have you ever heard of epigenetics?
I have.
Yes.
So epigenetics is like it's like, you know how like people used to think there's like, oh, like when you make like your offspring, it's like a carryover from what you have. So it's like your characteristics in your life will carry over. That has been proven false. However, epigenetics like sort of is like it can affect like what happens in your lifetime can affect your offspring.
Yeah.
Because like what happens is you have genetic markers that happen at certain points in your life and just like through like as a reaction to certain events, and those markers carry over because like DNA copies one for one. So like those markers can carry over, and so when you clone something, those markers carry over, and age is one of the things that gets marked. So when they cloned a sheep, the sheep that they cloned, like the clone should theoretically be 0 years old, right? But when they cloned it, it instantly like was like it's like its body turned into like the body of the same age as the cloned sheep.
Okay.
And so it died very young, or old rather.
I guess aging is one of those things that we don't really know a lot about either. Because I'm not sure if this is actually true or not, but I think for quite a while, I guess we thought telomeres was like the main...
Like the reason why cells die?
Yeah.
Like they have a time limit or something.
They do have a limit. However, it's like, it's not like a one factor thing. Like, have you ever heard of the Hayflick limit?
What's
that?
What is that?
So basically the Hayflick limit is the number of times a cell can like divide and reproduce until it just like cannot anymore.
Yeah.
And that's like that's what causes us to age. Like telomeres are like a part of that process.
Yeah.
But it's not one thing.
So it's not like you're like, oh, I got rid of telomeres, I can live forever.
Yeah. Like even if you did live forever, your body's constantly mutating because your body's constantly like so many cells die per second of your body, and your new cells are being made. But like as it approaches the Hayflick limit, the cloning process of your cells gets more and more fucked up.
I get aren't cancer cells supposed to be unaging cells?
Yes.
So I guess
like
we
they
have
keep on dividing.
Cancer cells are like perfect. They're quote unquote perfect because they can grow unlimitedly, like unlimited.
So they don't have that Hayflick limit.
They don't. It's actually turned off. Like they don't have like apoptosis either. If you know what that is. It's like scheduled cell death.
Yeah.
So that's why you can't. Your own body cannot stop cancer.
That's why it's like a tumor basically, right? Because it's just outgrowth. Interesting. So the key to immortality is just being cancer.
Being able to control cancer.
Yeah, like it like the Deadpool, like he's like a cancer.
Yeah.
Like that has some truth to it.
Yeah.
But like he would be constantly growing. He wouldn't stop growing.
Like he wouldn't look like a human.
Yeah. He would be no. Like he would constantly be increasing
if you could control
it's like
replication of cancer cells.
Then
yeah. There's like a film called
like if you could consciously control it.
Yeah. There's like a film called Akira, and one of the scenes is like he basically there's like in the universe is like everyone has like psychic powers, and his psychic powers got activated, and like he basically can't control his powers, so then like he starts like absorbing stuff. He starts growing into like this blob. That kind of reminds me of like what I would think like if every cell in your body was like a cancer cell, like you would just become like this amorphous blob, and then
basically, I mean that's what tumors look like. They're just like blobs. But like the thing that makes them hard to remove is that like they're blobs that are attached to like your blood vessels and like the major like organs of your body, right? So you can't just like cut that out without major like
consequences.
Yeah, major like blood loss. That's why stage 4 is terminal. It's because they're like, you know, at a certain point it's like spread, it's like metastasized, and then not only that, it's like super like it's relying on your bloodstream, right? So it's like you can't just cut it out because then you're gonna die from blood loss.
How do people come back from stage 4? Like the very few that do.
It's like miraculous. Your body just responds properly to like these experimental treatments.
Like how do you think about the narrative of people are like the fight against cancer, or like you're like my mom's a fighter?
I mean, it is a fight.
Beat cancer. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I don't know. It's really weird because like, like the stage 1, 2, 3, 4, right? It's not like a line. It's like exponential. Like 1 and 2 aren't like mega bad, but like 3 and 4 are like really bad.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the craziest stuff in medicine, or maybe not the craziest, well, like one of the really like cool things is like the placebo effect.
That shit is wild. Like that's another way they come back from stage 4. Like if they believe it's working, like that's what I'm talking about, like miracles. Like if you just believe, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe it's working, like 9 times out of 10 it works.
That's like happy people live longer. Have you ever watched The Farewell?
The Farewell, yeah.
Do you know what The Farewell is?
No, I don't.
Okay, so it's a movie where
spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert to our audience and Athul. It's like this movie where like, so it's a Chinese American woman who lives in New York. Her grandma in China is dying of cancer, but I guess in Chinese culture, like they don't tell like the person who's dying if they're old, like that they're dying, because they're like, it's not the cancer that kills you, it's knowing that you have cancer.
It's the fear
of, like of dying. So they basically tell her like, oh, you're just fine, you just have a cough, you know. And then basically, but they know she's dying, so they go back to China to say their last goodbyes, but they have to keep it a secret. And like the purpose of the film is kind of a cultural clash between like Western and Eastern culture, where Eastern culture is like, oh, like we're part of a community, a family. Like it's selfish to put your desires before oneself, and then like Western culture is like more individualistic. But basically, spoiler at the very end, you find out the grandma doesn't die,
despite being stage
4. Like she's just like, I think the film's like, like 6 years later or something, like she's still around, you know,
because it's based off a true story. Yeah. So then I thought that was interesting because it's like it's not always the case, but literally in this case, like because she didn't know she had cancer, like she was able to live. Like she literally thought it was a cough, and then like her body just miraculously responded.
Yeah, but for the most part, usually it's, you hear stories like, I was told I had 1 month to live, and you know, I told the doctors no, and I lived for another 2 years, and then I died. But
Breaking Bad.
Basically, like the drive to live is like one of the craziest things about life, because it's like unpredictable. Like if you have like an insane drive to live, like you can just outlive things. Have you ever heard about like the stuff where it's like your body has a lot of hidden strength and energy, it's just that you can't tap into it? Like for example, like if a boulder falls on you, it's not like you just auto die, you know? Like in like cases of like extreme danger or emergency, like your body can respond.
Because I mean it is a neuromuscular like system, so like it depends on how much you're activating everything. So another strange thing is like the one way like I've experienced placebo effects on like at least a daily basis is like I can have coffee that's like has a lot of caffeine, or it could be decaf, and sometimes I'll feel the same effects from both, just because like as long as I think it's just coffee, like just the taste and everything that has its own effect on me without having any sort of caffeine in it, which is pretty strange. I feel like that's just, I mean that's more conditioning than placebo effects, but like I feel like
initially it could have been.
But like I feel like if someone just gave me a cup of coffee and like it was just decaf and I didn't know and I drank it, I could probably get a similar effect. I mean, it's just,
you feel more energized.
Just from like thinking that it's doing a lot for me.
The way the brain works is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's literally something we don't really know anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that thing? You know how like people say like well, this isn't like biology, but you know more about like the surface of the moon than like the depths of the ocean. It's like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like that type of stuff I think is just it's kind of crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
Deep sea exploration I think was like one of those crazy things where we'll find something really like strange.
I feel like a lot of those creatures are really strange.
The deep sea already creeps me out. I don't want to know what's
yeah, like they're living without light.
Yeah, that shit is crazy. Like, have you seen what those things look like? They just look like
they look like aliens.
They all are blind. They're all like colorless. They all have like weird adaptations. It's wild.
Yeah. Honestly, maybe if we find immortality, it could be there.
I mean, they're living in a world jellyfish like immortal? Or
a certain species of jellyfish.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's different because like they don't have a brain.
Yeah.
So like they don't carry over memories, but like they don't have memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're
like I think they live instinctively. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're just like a nerve net.
Yeah.
Like they don't have sentient thought. Which is why they can be immortal. Like for us, if we like, let's say our bodies lived on, but we lost our memories, would you consider that immortal?
Yeah, I guess not really. I mean,
exactly.
The thing that I think immortality would be more real if you're able to transfer conscience without your physical body.
Yeah.
Because I think that conscience is like what we're really trying to preserve, anyways.
Yeah. It's kind of like the idea of a soul, basically.
Yeah.
Have you heard of like Altered Carbon or whatever? Where like it's like a series where like the guy is like he's uploading his conscious and he just moves between bodies, and that's how they preserve immortality.
I've seen that in like, I don't know,
a lot of different media use that concept.
Yeah, or like Ghost in the Shell,
or like a lot of cyberpunk-esque sort of things have that.
Or
like people are like androids.
Psychopaths.
I love Psychopaths.
Yeah, they had it in there where they like stored like everybody's like brain in there or something.
Oh, spoiler alert.
I guess that should be before. You could just insert spoiler alert before it.
Yeah.
Honestly, if they haven't seen it by now, like
yeah,
it's been out so long.
It's like 2013,
it's
right?
It's like being like, spoiler, Titanic, Jack dies.
Oh, there's an iceberg. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Dude, actually, it's so annoying when like you read like an article, like a movie review that has like a spoiler in it, and people are like, "Oh, that's a spoiler," and I'm just like,
bro, you're reading a movie review. Like,
why did you click on the article?
Honestly, also a lot of times, like most spoilers are something you like pretty much anticipate anyways.
Yeah.
It's less about like the destination and like more the journey of like
sometimes
how they get there.
I remember like watching some video, reading some article, but like spoilers can enhance the experience because like you're just trying to see like how do they pull off the spoiler,
Yeah, because almost always like it's probably gonna end like this. Like it's pretty rare that you get a twist that you just actually didn't expect.
Yeah.
Most of the twists are like the way it happened.
Yeah.
Not like what actually happened. Like a lot of times, like when like if someone tells you, "Oh, that person dies," like you kind of expect that's gonna happen. Like that's the only way they can end certain stories. Like, I think they have to die. It's more about like
how do they do it?
Yeah, like how does that actually happen? Mm-hmm. So I feel spoilers oftentimes are like not even that big a deal.
They're not that big.
Yeah. Some people freak out. They're like, you talk about it, they're like,
Dude, those people are over dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember one time I was at J2. I was eating, and I guess this was before I even watched Avengers Infinity War, I guess.
Oh, this is before Infinity War
it was out, but I hadn't seen it yet, but I guess I like read some of the spoilers that happened or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And I guess I might have accidentally said it a little loud, and I remember one of the janitors over there, he heard it, and then he was like, I hadn't watched it yet, and he looked super sad, and I felt really bad. But then at the same time, I was thinking, like, that spoiler wasn't really a spoiler. Like, literally, like...
What was the specific thing you said?
Okay, this is not even spoiler warning. Like, dude, if you
haven't watched it, like...
Yeah, this movie made $2 billion, okay? If you haven't watched it, like, shut up.
I think Spider-Man dies, I guess.
Oh!
First of all, like...
Okay, we all knew he wasn't gonna die.
Yeah, that's one thing.
The memes were really funny though.
We all saw Spider-Man 2 was already announced before Infinity War.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it was a spoiler, but like
I mean, it was a twist, I guess. Like, no one expected it to happen.
Yeah.
But I feel like the impact of his death was like you felt like, oh, this is pretty sad. And then, like, after he dies, you're like, oh, wait, they're making Spider-Man 2.
I feel like there's a lot of, like, intrigue into, like, how do they, like, reconnect this?
Yeah. Like, everybody knew they were coming back. She was like, how are they going to come
so,
back?
Like, when they
I guess
actually...
when he died, that is kind of a spoiler. Because if I, like, said he's coming back in the second one, that's not really a spoiler.
Yeah.
I guess it was a spoiler, but...
Yeah. I mean, I guess, like, he could have just used his context clues, you know?
Yeah.
Just, like, you know,
yeah. Stop eavesdropping.
Yeah. Yeah, I just, like... I don't know. What do y'all think about, like, the MCU and, like, its impact on the film industry?
I think it's really interesting, but me and Alex had this conversation a lot. I think it can muddle, like, some like, not firms, but, like, studios are trying to do. Like, for example, like, DC is, like, the biggest, like, proponent of this. Like, they're just trying to, like, copycat, like, what MCU is doing, and it just, like, has, like, a negative result because it's just not as tactfully done.
Yeah. No, I think it's pretty crazy because, I mean, comics were, like, it wasn't quite mainstream. Like, everybody knew about them, but, like, it was actually, like, a niche group of people that was actually reading comics. But after MCU, especially after Iron Man, like, everybody has seen it, right? So I think it was pretty crazy how they were able to take something that was niche and just, like, have everybody be able to see it. Because there's people who don't watch superhero movies or don't even care for it, and some of them they'll still watch. I think especially the Spider-Man ones. Like, people watch that more. I guess a larger crowd of people watch that just in general. And I think that was actually before MCU even. That was with
Tobey
Sony.
Maguire.
Yeah, so
And
I guess
the Batman
people,
with Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, I guess those go overlooked. But I guess in terms of, like, multiple characters, like, different storylines,
Like an
and being
ensemble,
able to, being able to execute all of them, then that's pretty impressive. Although, if you pretty much everything is like the same formula as the first Iron Man. Almost all the independent movies.
Yeah, have you heard about that? Like, it's a dark mirror trope. Like, literally, it was a trope invented by the MCU.
Yeah.
It's like the villain is just a dark mirror of the hero.
Oh yeah. I heard about, like, that was like that, like, Black Panther.
All of the solo, like Hulk, Black Panther, Thor. What are the other solo films?
Captain America.
Ant-Man. Like, they're all just dark mirrors of the hero until, like, a certain point. Like, after a while, it just became, like, really interesting, like, villains. Like, Thanos is, like, a major, like, marquee villain. And then I think
that's why people had a lot of problems with MCU villains. Because they're like, oh, like...
They can't write good ones.
Yeah.
But then, like, I think that got, like, sort of erased by, like, some of the newer films. Like, Thor Ragnarok. Ant-Man 2 had a really cool villain, in my opinion. For all the shit that Captain Marvel got, like, the villain wasn't a dark mirror.
I didn't watch Captain Marvel, actually.
Oh yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah.
I think the villains, when they changed the villains, the film started having a little bit more diversity in terms of, like, tone. But it still felt pretty similar, I guess. Yeah, you still knew you were watching an MCU film. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I've told Ben many times, but, like, I think the MCU is overrated.
It definitely is. I mean, it's a real crowd pleaser just because, like, I don't know. It's easy to like, but it's not something you'd be like, that was insane. Like, it's not gonna, like...
It's like a popcorn film, basically.
Yeah.
Which is nothing wrong with that. I just hate it when people, like elevate it to the point where, like... You know, have you heard of the Martin Scorsese controversy?
Oh, that?
No.
Where basically he's just like, oh, this isn't cinema. Like, it's not, like, extracting out real emotions. Like, it's just... I don't know. It's just, like, part of, like, it's like an episode, basically. And, like, it sounded pretty pretentious, but everyone's like, oh, who does this guy think he is? You know, like, this guy's pretentious, doesn't understand. But I was like, I mean, this guy directed a lot of, like, you know, award-winning films. Like, he has a pretty big impact on cinematic history. Like, if anything, I think it's kind of pretentious for you to be like, oh, I don't want to listen to this expert because, like, I just don't understand what he's saying, you know? So that's when I'm kind of just like, I mean, like, it's a good production, like, masterpiece. It's a good example of production value. But I think, like, you're overrating, like, the other aspects of the film. Yeah.
I think it's because, like, the MCU has a lot of, like, meaning outside of movies to people. Like, for example, it made nerd culture mainstream.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, like, nowadays a lot of things are mainstream that didn't used to be, like, gaming, like, comic books, like, anime. Like, a lot of things are mainstream that used to be very niche.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that was one of the first things in, like, that transition.
Yeah, because I remember when I first watched Avengers, it was like, I was like unbelievably hyped for it. I was like, this is fucking cool.
For sure.
Like,
yeah, me too. Yeah, I was definitely like, oh, Iron Man, like this is really cool. But then, I guess somewhere along the way, I lost the magic.
In terms of, I feel like it's more about like how they're like actually creating those heroics and like executing it, and I think that's where like the true like, I guess, skill comes in. Like when they say like, oh, it's so easy to make a Marvel movie. If it was that easy, then DC would have made really good movies by now.
Yeah.
It's the fact that like it's not necessarily like the plot. I guess that's always like, I mean, part of it is the plot, but it's not necessarily like, it's not supposed to be like one of those like, it's not winning awards necessarily for its plot and stuff. It's winning awards and executing like building characters, I think.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it is like a formulaic series, but it's a formula that's done very well. It's kind of like I guess in sports when people are like, oh, like why doesn't everyone just shoot threes and like like have spacing, like that's only pulled off because like in the Golden State Warriors, like everybody was like a god level shooter, or like in Houston, like James Harden and Westbrook are really good players, you know.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can just be like, oh, like I can just copy and paste this. Yeah.
Oh, a pretty good segue into another topic. Who do you think is the best player in the NBA right now?
Best player? Alex Caruso.
That bald spot gives him balance.
Honestly, he's a pretty solid player.
Yeah.
He's a pretty solid player now. It was kind of a meme at first, but I think there was impact metrics for him, like their plus minus rating between duos on the Lakers. The top 4 all have Alex Caruso on them. LeBron's only in 2 of them too, which is insane. So he has good, I guess, chemistry within people. Within
I guess
the
he
team.
just doesn't have to look.
It's just like the meme like aspect of it. I remember the All-Star voting is like he was higher than like all these other people.
That's pretty funny, but I mean the All-Star voting isn't like 100% fan base, so
yeah.
I guess I don't know, maybe like Giannis or something.
Giannis is like new age.
Yeah.
Like I still think LeBron's got that magic.
I think personally, I'm gonna say it's LeBron just because like it's hard to be the best player if you can't create your shot from everywhere.
Like the thing is, like a lot, like when you're the best, everyone's trying to knock you down.
It depends on like what do you mean by best? Like best of season or best like over a period of time?
The best player
right
now in terms of like
everything, just the whole package.
Like in terms of like wanting him on your team to be able to win.
But that incorporates like history though, right?
I guess, yeah. I mean, history will play.
Yeah. Then, like, I guess, like, obviously, like, LeBron, like, would be, like, heavily favorable in that situation because he's been in it longer, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like everyone knew LeBron was the best player in the 2010s, but he didn't win the MVP every single time.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But
I think it's, like, another thing is, like, everyone wants to knock down the number one person.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want to see you number one forever. It's like, so I, like, watch a lot of boxing, and, like Floyd Mayweather, like, he was, like, he's not like the best stylistically. He's not getting like a KO every fight. But like you can for sure say at the time of his prime, he was number 1 because nobody could beat him.
Yeah.
But like everyone wanted to knock him down. They're like, oh, Pacquiao's better. Or, this person's better. This person's better.
People also hate on his like the way he wins too.
Yeah, they're like
honestly, I feel like a parallel in the NBA would be James Harden.
Yeah.
Like people just don't want to give credit to the way he wins.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because people don't like seeing like this stuff. Like for example, Mayweather's just like
they don't like seeing crafty, manipulative play. Yeah. I think it's funny because like Luka Doncic is like very popular.
Yeah, and
he's starting to receive some hate because he does play very similar to James Harden.
Yeah, he does. Because I mean, that's what like you can either win through like pure force, like brute force, like Giannis, but not everyone can do that.
Yeah.
And I think it takes. Like, if everyone could do... Like, everybody wants to do what James Harden does, but they can't. Which just shows that it's not, like a scammy way of winning.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of skill and IQ to be able to do what he does.
Yeah. I definitely respect James Harden. It's definitely, like... Yeah, he's definitely disrespected, for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, like, he's kind of revolutionized the way a lot of players play, I think. Them and the Rockets in general. Even though they haven't won a championship with that. Which, I mean, I guess it's a version of the Golden State Warriors, which is what they wanted to do. But, man, they're going really small ball now, and that's just like...
And it works. I remember everyone, me included, we all clowned them for trading away their censor.
Yeah, I know, but it's been doing pretty well. I mean, we'll see how it works in the playoff when it's like a slower paced game. But
There's also more at stake.
Yeah.
Did you watch the All-Star game?
I watched like the highlights.
Because I remember watching because you know how players are slower paced. There's gonna be more fouls and stuff like that. Like I remember thinking like, because I remember they changed the format of the All-Star game, at least to the fourth quarter, to make it like faster paced to get rid of these fouls. So I was just curious to see like what your thoughts were on that.
Honestly, a lot of people like hate the fact that it was one on a free throw.
Yeah.
I guess I don't mind it too much, but yeah, I guess it would be more exciting to see an actual shot be the winner.
A win is a win, dude.
Yeah,
a win is a win.
Dub.
Yeah. Also, oh my god, Giannis's picks were atrocious for the draft. Like,
but it made it a close game.
They did make a close game, but man, it was like.
But you could tell that the skill was they were outclassed in the fourth quarter when like.
Yeah, I mean,
when
I'm
LeBron's
sure the only
team
reason
actually
it was
started
close.
trying. Yeah.
The only reason it was close probably was because like LeBron's team was like, all right, this is gonna be a cakewalk, and they're like, oh shit, maybe they're. I mean, they're all still like high caliber.
They're also
players.
like top of the league.
I mean, it's like that it was like that last year and the year before
Yeah,
too.
like even when you like take all that away, every team in the NBA is like an NBA team. Like,
Oh, for sure.
The Knicks can beat the Bucks. Like that can happen.
Yeah.
It's not something you should be surprised about.
Like I remember.
Or I guess you'd be surprised.
I remember like when like looking at Dallas's bench, like a lot of those players were from like last year and the years before that. So everyone was like, oh, they suck because the team sucks, right? But what really happened is like they were just a bunch of good role players. They just didn't have like
an it guy.
like an it guy, like stars or like starting caliber players. And once they got that, like they became like a pretty deep team.
Yeah, you saw how good like the rest of the team was. Like people like Maxi Kleber, like he's like one of the best 3-and-D guys, honestly.
Yeah, Maxi Kleber, like Dorian Finney-Smith, they're like, oh, who the hell are these guys? You know?
Yeah, like Dorian Finney-Smith, like he's an elite defender.
Yeah.
And honestly, like they got a really deep team, and you just don't see how good they are until they have a guy.
Until they're on, like because you need someone to elevate them.
Yeah.
It's
like,
definitely
honestly the Knicks might have pretty good players.
Yeah. I mean that roster is constructed terribly though. Like RJ Barrett and like Julius Randle, they play very similar roles. As in like they're basically they're just messing up RJ Barrett's development.
Yeah. Honestly, it's insane that the biggest market in the league, like once RJ Barrett got there, I've been seeing almost nothing. Just because they suck. Like the Knicks suck so much. Like you barely see any coverage for RJ Barrett. It's all like he could have gone literally anywhere else. I think he would have gotten better coverage.
I think it's funny because people are like, oh, like the NBA rigs the lottery and they rig things like, and then like people are like, do you really like not think the NBA wants the New York fucking Knicks to be good? Like that's such a big market that is like going to waste.
That is true.
Because they have
Although
a terrible.
I feel like certain things like are kind of rigged.
Like what?
I don't know. Officiating maybe.
For sure, absolutely.
But I feel like officiating is hard to nail down because like human error. Like if you eliminate human error, there would be no officiating problems.
Oh, for sure. But I think
the human aspect of it.
I feel like it is more.
I think the issue is there's no accountability for us. Like they can make as many mistakes as they want. You get fined for being upset about it. You know, like I remember, just like a couple games ago, like the Mavs played the Hawks, right? Basically, like the game was tied, and then a player, I forgot who, he went to go block a shot, and he got called for a goaltend. And review said like it wasn't a goaltend. But then as they did it, they also counted like...
Oh, yeah. This was with the Hawks and the Mavs.
Yeah. So they counted like...
Oh, yeah. What timestamp is this?
This is 9 seconds left. Yeah.
Oh. No. Like, this episode will come out a lot later than...
I mean, this was in like
last week?
Yeah. This is like...
Last week?
This is like right after the first game after the All-Star break. Or the second game. Yeah.
Hawks versus Mavs.
Yeah, at Hawks at
Atlanta. Mark
Atlanta.
Cuban went off. On Twitter.
And then people are like, oh, like you blew a lead, right? And that's true. Like we shouldn't have blown the lead. But having the refs add on to that is not helpful, right? Just because like some guy trips doesn't mean like you have to come down like as he gets up, push him back down, you know?
Yeah, and also like Blazers versus Jazz. Like some
that
of
was
those
atrocious.
Things, that was insane. Like
that was literally on like 2 seconds left. Like, if anything, that literally changed the course of the game.
Yeah. I don't watch basketball. I only look at the stats.
Yeah. I mean, I just saw the highlights.
That's fair. I guess what I'm trying to say is...
Like, I literally
the rest is a very underappreciated... For sure, the refs are underappreciated and, like, they have a very difficult job. But they have no accountability.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah. It's like you can see the same with the NFL, too.
Yeah, like that one the Saints and the Rams. When the guy, like...
The guy
DPI'd him 100%. Like everyone saw it. Like someone even recreated the situation in Madden.
Yeah.
It did the same thing, and the refs called it in Madden.
Yeah.
I feel like the NBA is definitely more rigged than like the NFL.
Because NFL, like there was immediately a rule change after that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think
there's slightly more accountability.
Does make
probably.
it entertaining though. Like it's like the WWE, you know?
Dude, everything's scripted.
Yeah, exactly.
just so you know, the WWE makes fuck ton more money than UFC. One's rigged, one's not.
Yeah, I mean it's all about showmanship.
I mean, you want to see your favorite players win, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
like, see, when
sports
Conor
is
McGregor
entertaining.
loses, that's bad for the market.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like the NBA was at its peak when Michael Jordan was playing, right? And he dominated. So like, everyone claims they like parody and stuff, but like the general populace like wants
knows
to see
what they want.
Yeah, like the Warriors, when the Warriors were dominant, like they all tuned in to watch, right? Even though everyone's like, oh, this is really boring, they're just gonna win like every game, but like people want to see greatness, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's part of like their childhood, or it's part of like their youth or whatever.
Also, if they were trying to limit that and try to make it more fair, they would have implemented allowed zone defense way earlier. Like once the Bulls won like 3 straight championships, then he came back and they won one more. They're like, all right, I think we should allow people to do zone defense, you know, because we got to stop this guy from winning every single time.
Yeah. I just remember it's funny because I remember some people like they voted for Karl Malone as MVP because they got tired of voting for Michael Jordan.
Yeah, but I mean, if they wanted to, he could have just won the whole decade.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the same with LeBron, right?
Yeah.
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 I mean, he was the best player every single year of past decade, pretty much.
Like the Alex talks about this a lot, but it's like the narrative. A lot of people like wanted like Russell Westbrook to win because that was like the average triple double.
Yeah,
it's a lot about the narrative and like less about like.
Yeah, it's better for the game if like you don't just have one guy winning all the time.
It's same with like the Oscars. Did you know like movies have to campaign to win the Oscars?
Yeah.
Like
the Oscars isn't actually like who like what. It oftentimes like people get snubbed because it's about it's always like a narrative and a pay to win type.
Yeah. That's also why a lot of people
we have like Oscar bait films, you know.
Yeah. That's also why people didn't like when Parasite won because they're like, oh, the Oscars are like just trying to be woke, you know. They just want like some like super out there shit to happen. They want to seem really liberal, but like
they didn't even watch the film.
If Parasite was like the best film, like that's upon the like viewer to decide that. It's not like. It's not like if this wins Oscar, it's automatically the best film. You decide that on your own.
It's just something that it's good for the industry if Parasite wins, just because it sets a precedent for a lot of future films.
Yeah. I think there's like even a quote from the director. He's like, once you get past that 1-inch barrier of subtitles, you're exposed to a whole new world of film.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's good that like you're more open minded. You know, there's less like American exceptionalism.
Yeah. The areas where I do have a problem is when like Rotten Tomatoes is because I mean that is just like it's supposed to be as objective as you can get. You know?
But it's like how it's hard.
And also, I think the way that the tomato meter works because it's based on like it's like or dislike, right?
Yeah.
From every critic. So, like, it's not even based on, like, how much they like it or how much they don't like it.
Like you can have, like, a 92%.
It's really skewed.
Like, at, like, a 6.2.
Yeah. That's why it's, like, really skewed. Like, when you look at the IMDb and, like, other Metacritic or whatever, and then you see Rotten Tomatoes, like, 97. People, like, I mean, they should realize how the voting process works. I feel like a lot of people actually don't know how that
they just see a number.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, 90.
That's like the thing about reviews nowadays. On like virtually anything, like a lot of people look for the number, the rating.
Yeah,
and a lot of times because like ratings are like they're not like you're not paid to review something, or sometimes you are, but like it's not like you pay off a bunch of people to review it. Sometimes it's just like you do them favors, they do you favors back, they don't rate it as hard, and so a lot of the favors are skewed above. I mean, a lot of the ratings are skewed above like a certain threshold point. Like I've on like IGN, I've never seen a game rated below like a 7 out of 10. Simply because like they're not going to put that out there, especially for a major game.
Yeah, and also it's like a waste of time for them to like talk about a game that's so bad.
And not only that, like when they do rate it, since they have this precedent of rating everything like a 7 or above, like I think they rated like Death Stranding like a 6. And dude, they got flamed to shit. That review video had like so many dislikes. And it's like it was like an honest opinion. It's like, how are you gonna flame them for that? You know?
It's kind of like the slam dunk competition this year. So basically, they gave out 10s like nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like
they
not
should
all
just change
10s
it
are
up to
equal.
where they see all of the dunks,
Yeah,
and then
they rate it.
yeah,
Similar.
like you give a 10 out, and then you see a dunk that's better, and they're like,
Yeah, like
I can
it's
only
already
give it a
Aaron-
10.
Like Aaron Gordon, like he's one of the dunkers. Like he should have won like at least 2 times, but that didn't happen because they just kind of giving out 10s, and then Dwayne Wade rigged it. It's stupid. But basically,
Yeah, and also it's so dumb because
Yeah.
the dunkers come in having prepared 4 dunks for the contest and maybe a 5th one.
Mm-hmm.
A 6th dunk is not something you can expect. You can't expect someone to do that, especially when he's had.
yeah, it's not fair.
I think he has one of the most 50-point dunk, or he has the most 50-point
Yeah,
dunks.
but he's never won it.
Yeah,
and
which
then
is insane.
him saying at the press conference, he's like, oh, like I'm done. I'm not doing this. You know,
Can't blame him.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna try to win for the 3-point contest. Like he made a joke, and then like you could tell like he was still really hurt. And
Yeah.
I was like, dang. And like they shouldn't even have been in that situation because
Yeah.
of like they're just handing out 10s. You know.
Yeah,
Like similarly, boxing rounds are scored out of 10, right? But they don't fucking use the whole range. It's just like point deduction is -1 max or -2 max if you like do something really atrocious. But then it's like most of the time it's just like -1 because you lost a round. It's like what's the point? Just make it like 0, 1, and 2.
yeah.
Like there's no point in like having it be 10 and it's like making no sense.
I think it's kind of like the idea like when you hear someone say like this is not good, like it really could just mean it's mediocre or it's
Yeah.
average or it's bad. But everyone's instinct be like, oh, it's bad. You know.
Yeah.
Like they take offense to that.
Yeah, it just depends on what context it's in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a bad player in the NBA is still like
Yeah.
one of the
Like I remember,
the best basketball
like
players
people
in
were
the
like
world.
roasting Dennis Smith Jr. He was a former point guard for the Mavs. But he's on the Knicks now. For being like, oh, he's dumb. Like he can't really read the game, right? I'm like, he probably can read the game. The NBA is just really
like,
fast.
You put him in like Greg, he's gonna. This dude's got like insane court vision, bro. He's like,
No, it's just like all these like washouts, NBA washouts can go to Europe, right? Because like the game is at a slower pace, or
Yeah.
like the game is just like people aren't athletic, so they can recover fast. It's like these
Yeah.
players aren't dumb.
Have
know?
you seen like when like videos of like J.R. Smith playing with like pickup basketball at Lifetime?
Oh no, the only thing I've seen about J.R. Smith is the thing with LeBron.
Yeah.
It's insane. No, like when you watch him play like those pickup games, you're like, this dude I think might be like better than Michael Jordan. Like that's what he looks like.
Yeah,
I mean, even in general, when he plays actual games, he's a solid hooper. He's just
yeah. He's just.
a little.
Pickup
Sure.
games, he's better than Michael Jordan.
I mean, honestly, like if that's all you saw, you'd be like, this dude's the GOAT. You know.
Yeah, like you just wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah. Like I think honestly it's like I think once you get to that level everything is just super like incremental, you know? Like
Yeah.
what makes you better is super incremental, you know?
Yeah, it's like
It's a battle of inches.
yeah, and that's also why it's so hard to like draft the right player, right? Because it's so hard to tell.
Because they can still be good, just maybe
Yeah.
not good in your situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like fit's important too, you know? Like if you're bad into it like the reason why it's so like the Suns are like so bad at drafting is just like they just tend to not have a good fit, the culture is bad. Like having a veteran to like teach you the ropes and like be humble or whatever, like that's super important. So it's like
Yeah, like there's a lot of players that are like superstars, but like different circumstances could have occurred for them to not be superstars, right? Like I feel like
Like
a
Alex
player like-
Caruso.
all right, if we go to the NFL, like, look
Yeah.
at like Tom Brady, he's in a good situation versus like I don't know, like Peyton Manning or something. Like Peyton Manning was still the GOAT, but maybe he would have won. He would have won more if he was
Yeah.
in like the Patriot situation, right?
I think like the one player that I think, regardless of circumstance, would like be as good as he is, or like insane player, is probably like LeBron. Like
Oh, for sure.
he could have been in any situation.
I mean, he was with the
NBA.
Cavs.
Yeah, he was with the Cavs.
He was
yeah.
with the Cavs,
It was the worst
and
situation.
he brought them to the finals. You
Yeah.
know, and he won the championship with them later. Like that's literally a terrible situation. Like
Yeah.
I don't even think they've been good like outside of
Yeah,
LeBron.
it's like LeBron, and then it's like LeBron, and then
Yeah.
not
Like
LeBron.
people like flame Kyrie for like not being able to carry the Cavs. I'm like, it's pretty difficult. Like
It's,
recently,
it's a team game.
recently-
I think people forget about that.
recently they fired their coach, and like you look into it, like the culture is so toxic. They're like, why are we studying so much film? Like
Why are we studying so much
Why
film?
are you harping on our fundamentals? You know, I mean, it's understandable. Like they're like pros, they're like we're above this, right? But like they literally thought we are better than we really are. Like we don't need this coach, and then they fired the coach, right? They didn't have like someone like LeBron to be like, hey, shut the fuck up. Like we're not winning games right now, you know?
Yeah, the GM.
Yeah, so Yeah.
Why are we studying so much film? That just like boggles my mind.
No, it's actually so stupid. Like they weren't winning games, so it's like, why aren't you studying more film? Yeah, it was. Yeah,
no, it's insane. Whenever people bring up that, like for like the GOAT conversation, like honestly, I can't even make a. I can't say which one's better versus like LeBron and MJ.
MJ, we weren't.
One I haven't seen him play in real life. I've seen LeBron play, and it's hard to like think that someone could be better than him at basketball. But like people say, I mean, there is an argument for it because like he's won like 6 for 6 or 6-0 in the finals, right? But that 3-6 argument for the finals, like.
I mean, Bill Russell was in 11 straight finals too.
Yeah, and
he's still a really good player.
Yeah, the thing with LeBron is there's only one of those where you would be like, yeah, he should have won that one. That was against the Mavs.
Yeah.
The one where we went with the Cavs, like he wasn't supposed to win that. Like I don't understand. Like and I guess the one where they lost to the Spurs.
Like the Warriors should have won 5 straight, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, against the Warriors, like, are you even like?
They have an
Are you kidding me? They have Steph. They have KD. They have like. Okay, there was an argument to be made that all 3 of those players were like the best players in the game, and one team has 2 of them, and one team has like the other.
Like the fact he could push that series to 6, like the first year when Kyrie was out,
that was insane.
Like Kevin Love was out, like it was literally just LeBron like dragging them, you know,
Yeah.
or even this
that was without KD, right?
And then you'll have people like 3-6. MJ would have won.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, MJ. I don't think was going to beat that Warriors team.
Yeah, it's like it's hard to say because I know the Bulls is a pretty trash organization too. They haven't been good outside of Jordan, but they did have good players as well, you know.
Yeah, no, they had like an insanely well-built team.
Like they went to the conference semifinals, like Game 7, without Jordan.
Yeah, like
they weren't a bad team.
Pippen, you had like
you know, Steve Kerr, Horace
Grant. And like Tony Kukoc. You had like solid players.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say. Like I think you should definitely evaluate things by eras, right? Like definitely in the 90s, a lot more physical.
Yeah.
Like you could beat the shit out of a player and maybe you get a foul. Like now it's like a lot more emphasis on like skill and speed, like pace. So, you know, a lot of players may not have thrived back then. Like, you know, players like Jahlil Okafor or whatever, like he has a more old style game. Maybe he would have been the beast in the 90s, right?
Honestly, Taco Fall would have been a beast in the 90s.
Yeah.
Back when they valued it. Because, I mean, for a guy his length, he actually moves better than you'd expect.
Yeah. So, it's hard. Like, sports are hard, but, you know, the NBA is pretty interesting.
Yeah, honestly, one of the best seasons so far, I think, recently.
Yeah.
And I think going to be a pretty interesting playoff run. Just cause
I think there's a lot of rising young talent, right? There's Luka, there's Zion,
Trey.
Who's your dark horse to win it all?
Lonzo Ball. BBB.
Do you think they're gonna
or dark horse?
Dark horse champion.
So like, who would you classify as contenders? Like in the West, it's obviously Lakers,
Clippers,
Nuggets.
Nuggets. You have to put second seed. You have to put
Nuggets,
the second seed in.
Houston, I guess.
Houston, yeah. I would honestly put Houston over. Houston Nuggets are in the same tier.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jazz are a tier below, honestly.
I don't think the Jazz are contenders.
There's a lot of people that say they're contenders, but like, I just can't see them winning. Like, I can see somehow the Rockets winning. I can somehow see the Nuggets winning.
Yeah.
I just can't see the Jazz.
I think those are the only 4 contenders in the West. I wouldn't call the Mavs the contenders because they're like they're trying to figure things out, like what it means.
Yeah,
to be
not this season. They might be contenders next season.
They're learning what it means to be clutch, and it's a growing process. They choke a lot of games.
Good.
A lot of games. We had one of the against the Raptors. That was
atrocious.
I watched that one live too. It was one of the few games like I watched.
Yeah.
Like the whole game.
But that must have been infuriating. That fourth quarter.
Dude, I was like I saw it and I was like, man, is this really gonna happen? Because I think the game before that, or like the 2 games before that, like we choked the lead too, and I was like, there's no way.
Dude, all the Dallas teams. Wait, watching the Cowboys like live is infuriating.
When you watch the Rangers a couple years back when they made the playoffs, they were like the least clutch team I've ever seen. I was like,
Dallas just isn't clutch, I guess.
Dude, it's so infuriating watching Dallas teams. Like there's a huge market. It's just that like for some reason we're not clutch.
Then again, being clutch is hard. Being clutch is hard.
But
you would like it. That is.
Oh yeah, for sure. But you can't like.
We're the only team in history where the first seed lost to the 8th seed in the playoffs.
in the
round.
7 games, in the 7-game format.
In the 7 game, yeah. Which is
No.
gotta feel
The
bad.
Bulls versus 76ers in 2012. They also lost.
Bulls were first seed.
Yeah.
Oh, well, but that was
when Derrick Rose got injured.
Yeah, injury. Yeah.
I think it was because we got a bad matchup because the Warriors were coached by Donnie Nelson or Don Nelson. He was like a former coach, so he knew what's inside.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, he
But,
got
like,
the inside scoop.
That's so rare. Oh yeah, he used to.
I think he also swept us in the regular season. So
yeah, but I mean, honestly, like it's
That
so
was
rare that
morale,
you
though.
see like an 8 seed like even
Yeah.
have a chance at the first seed.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the 8 seed, you see the Grizzlies against the Lakers. If that happened, man, you might as well
Dude,
say
LeBron
John
would
Morant's the
retire.
GOAT. I'd say John's the GOAT at that point.
Yeah, I mean, he's like,
Who else?
I won 3 rings. Like, it's time to call it a day, you know, and make sure Bronny gets to the NBA.
Yeah, no, they lose like the first 2 games, and then LeBron's like, "Oh, my groin's hurting a little bit. I don't think I can play anymore."
It's like,
He's gonna pull a Steph.
guess
Like,
in
oh
the-
yeah, I can't play without KD. Oh, he's coming back this Sunday.
Yeah, he
or
is, yeah.
Monday, whatever it is.
But yeah,
the
let's start wrapping this up. We're going a little overtime right now.
Yeah, overtime.
Yeah. So,
Basketball.
anything you want to shout out?
Shout out. Man, I don't know. I don't really have anything I want to shout out. Maybe my Instagram if you want to follow me.
Okay.
What's your
It's
handle?
my Athul ATHUL_SRS.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the followers to start
Ramp
Trickling
it up.
flooding
in.
you know.
You know, build your brand.
Pretty
Pretty
sure.
sure. Pretty soon I might be like getting verified.
That's good. And then you don't.
Dude, we need that check mark, bro.
We need that check mark. I think you can just email them or something like that.
Yeah, no.
On
there's
Twitter, I know you can.
There's
You
some
can-
people with like 1 million followers that aren't verified.
I also know, like, on Twitter, apparently you can get, like, verified as long as you just ask them for it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And then people will follow you because they're like, oh, this guy's legit.
This
It's got a check mark.
Yeah.
It's a game. But yeah, just wrapping things up. This is Nuanced Nonsense. We're not experts, but we just like talking. Yeah, see y'all soon.